Hello everyone, this is a build log of me building this 1000 watt bass amplifier. It's built from a super compact Class D module. Everything is already in that Class D module, and I've been working on combining everything, making connections, and 3D printing a case for it. This is still a prototype and lots of things went wrong, but it does work. Mostly. Alright, let's talk about the design. We have this module, a 1000 watt module. It has everything built in. It's based on an aluminum block that is also the heatsink. And the only thing I really need to do is make the connections and make some kind of enclosure around it so that it works for me and I can take it with me. It's a bit dangerous to not have an enclosure around it. I did use it without it, and it's been pretty successful, but having an enclosure is very important. One of the issues with this module is it doesn't have a volume control because it's a power amp. Normally I would do the volume somewhere else, but my Helix gets very noisy when I drop down the volume. So what I'm doing is putting in a dual gang volume pot inside of the case so that I can partly change the volume from there. It's not really volume, it's more attenuation. Yeah, that should work that way. And then let's talk about the case. I considered making a metal case around this because metal is of course very durable and I will end up there. But for now I'm using a completely 3D printed case. I did buy a metal case, but I didn't really want to cut into something as a prototype because I don't want to keep buying new metal cases. So this is just 3D print, and the 3D print uses the aluminum block as a kind of a base. It's pretty strong of itself. The case is not really meant to make the whole thing stronger. So we have the aluminum block as a base. There's feet under the aluminum block to hold it up, which means that the case doesn't have to hold any weight. And then it only has to put in all the connections and then also the cooling. So my airflow idea was to have a fan in the front and then have that as an intake and then push air to the back, and then I've made a kind of a lip there to push the air back under the case because of course the aluminum is the heatsink, so any airflow over the aluminum is going to help cool this thing massively. The other idea I had was to put in screws, to put in threaded inserts, so it's easy to take apart and put together. These are M3 scattered inserts, kind of designed around it. It wasn't really 3D printable in one go, so I've made a split and made multiple parts to put it together. And before I actually made the whole case, I first made like a couple of small pieces just to see if all my connections would fit together, and they did fit together. The design looked good, let's say that. But then we have some of the problems that I went into. The first one is I got some new filament PETG out of it, but the filament was wet, so it ruined the print. It looks awful. It looks like a proper prototype, but it doesn't look great. Normally when I've put something on the print bed, that should be a nice flat space, but because the filament is wet, there's all kind of bubbles on it. But that's not the only problem. Another one is that the wiring was very tight. I wanted to make a compact case. It's very compact, a bit too compact. The wiring is very close together. I think that's causing some noise issues. And those noise issues can be solved with, of course, lifting the ground. But I did not have those issues before I had it in the case. So I think it's definitely caused by that. Another issue is the threaded inserts. They did not work well. I tried to put, I think, 2 of them in, but it kind of melted all over the place. There was just not enough filament around, not enough material around it. So if I want to use threaded inserts, I'm going to have more material and then also make it deeper and then have an open hole so I can put my soldering iron completely in it to get the threaded insert in. In the end, it didn't really matter because I could just screw in a one size. I could just screw something in by itself, and that worked because the case it's really strong actually. The other issue I didn't really think about is the screw access. So for the connections of, for example, the XLR and then the speaker, I have a screw in the top and then a screw in the bottom, but it's also tight that I can't really access the screw in the bottom. So for now, I just have the top screw in, but that's not ideal. And then I think the one of the bigger problems, the last problem, is the vibration issues, especially on the top where I have the fan connected, and then also the middle top piece. I think there's just a little bit too much flex, and that flex causes it to vibrate, and I can actually hear it in certain frequencies when I play that that the whole case is moving with it. But that's an easy fix. Make it more stiff, and then as I make it more stiff, the actual frequency that it would vibrate with will also change and go. So in the end, was the performance there? I think so. I've been using it. It's been working great. The fan works. It's keeping the whole system really cool. I haven't had any issues with that. Apart from the noise issue, I haven't had any noise with just a decoupled ground. So in the essence, it's gonna work fine. I do think that the fan is a bit noisy, so I'm gonna have. I just use the fan at full speed. I can drop down the fan speed quite a bit with the low noise adapters, and then have that be a bit more quiet. I also think with the case design, I can change things to make the fan more quiet, because the fan is more noisy in the case than it is outside of the case. This is probably something in the case, especially top case, that is vibrating with the fan, causing more noise. And the biggest thing, of course, is to separate the wiring more so that I don't have noise issues. I might not have them now, but especially if I'm on a gig or something, I want to make sure that there's not too much noise. And of course, the biggest improvement I want to make is to go to the metal design, which means that I'm gonna have the metal case that's going around it. I will keep that, and then two of those pieces, the front and the back, I will replace those with a 3D printed piece like this. And then those 3D printed pieces are gonna have, of course, the connections and also the fan connections. That does mean that the fan connection will gonna be in the front or the back. Well, the back is gonna be better than that. So my whole cooling system for this one is not really gonna work anymore. So thanks for watching. If there's some details that you want to know more about, you can put in a comment and I'll answer that. And then on to the next video. Might be about this, might be a build log from something else. I have lots of projects. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.